I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Jelpy and Ghosty
and Tooby. Where's Booby? So we got Ghosty. Ghosty's up there chilling. Booby's lost, huh?
Booby's your responsibility.
I know.
Booby's
I don't know. My responsibility. Don't worry about it. All that matters.
The thing is,
Tooby.
we have an 11-month-old, and so he's always trying to snatch at Booby. So
yeah, I know he loves him some Booby.
Booby is actually like this little red stuffed animal.
Yeah, that Zoe gave to me. Zoe gave me Booby.
Vin's the one that named it.
Yeah. Zoe gave me Booby.
Yep.
So it's very close to my heart.
Yeah, I found him kicking around in the basement with all the dust and trash and everything.
Obviously.
Very close to your heart.
Not close enough to my heart. Okay. For time to talk about political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori. This is Maudlin of the Wall. The name of this song is The Curve.
Of the Wall? The Well.
The Well, sorry. The Curve That to an Angle Turned.
This is from the big homie Jacob.
Jacob! Now, listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you, dear listener, would like your song reviews, there's multiple ways to accomplish that feat. One is my favorite option. It's community option. $1 at the gate. Gets you into Patreon. You know, the village is everybody, right? Facebook.com/Vin and Sori, and you're already automatically in the village. If you comment down here, you're automatically in the village. Everybody's in the village. Big happy family. But underneath, in the dark caverns of the village, is what's called the clan, and that's what happens on Patreon. You get into the clan, $1 at the gate, and then a clan member.
Yep. Everyone can live in the village. Not everyone can be
a clan member. Oh gosh,
so scary.
I'm the one that came up with the term.
He even spelled it with a K.
SJWs. So relax.
I was like,
But an alliance leader will come and recruit you. It's genre specific, etc. That's my favorite because it's very communal, very people oriented. That's what I'm about. If you're a horrible, filthy capitalist,
no, or you just don't want to have to go through all the rigmarole of dealing with other people,
like Sori, and
having to vote and like working together. Yeah, like me, exactly. I would rather just pay the money and have my song reacted to.
$125.
That's the tier for you.
$125 option, which is the option that was used here. Now keep in mind, dear listener, if you had done 3 $75 reviews before, you get grandfathered in at there.
It doesn't have to be consecutive, just any 3.
All right, the curve that's to an angle turn Maudlin of the Well is it.
Or if you think you have an argument that would get you onto the 75 tier, Vin might take you up on that. VinandSori@gmail.com. It's true. People all of a sudden like slip their ways through. I'm like, what? Why are we doing that? He's like, well.
Hit play.
All right, ready? Go. Wow.
Okay, so I gotta tell you guys, I was not looking forward to listening to this song. I was like, this is some no-name band. They only have 1,000 views on this. These guys were so good.
You know what?
So good.
When they first started out, it was like really good, and then when the singing came in, I was like, I wasn't
vocals.
expecting that type of vocals, and so I was like, oh no. But then, wow, like if I was on my own and it wasn't a reaction like that somebody was asking us to do, then I would have shut the song off. But I'm so glad. Like at the beginning, I loved it, but then when the vocals started in, it was unexpected, and so I would have shut it off at that point. But I'm so glad I didn't have the option to shut it off because I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it.
Talk about getting converted.
And very emotional.
I was converted very radically because at the beginning I was like, oh man, these guys.
I think we're gonna have totally different interpretations of the song. Let me go first so I don't forget my.
Go for it.
Oh no, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Said let me go.
Yeah,
first.
I know, but I thought you were gonna say.
You're good.
So to me, this was about a man and a woman. Is it about a man and a woman for you?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's about a relationship.
Wow. You never think it is. And it seems to me like he says, trust lies shivering by the hedgerow. What is that hedgerow?
I don't know.
That sentence really didn't
a bunch of plants,
make any sense.
A bunch of hedges. I figured you'd know what a hedgerow was because.
Well, I didn't know if it was just hedges, the hedges,
see,
like in front of my parents' house.
I was right. That little, thing, the lawn.
Yeah, I know, but that sentence didn't make any sense to me. That
chest flies shivering by the hedgerow. Okay.
Her life bleeds into cold cataracts. So, like, when somebody gets cataracts in their eyes?
Yeah.
So, like, I thought it was, like, her eyes, like, pooling with blood. And then he says, I see an eclipse in those eyes. And when the sun has an eclipse, it turns black.
Yeah.
And so he saw, like, this deadening in her. And then it says rainfall, which to me was a poetic way of saying she then cries. Of starlight trapped in bottles. So I think that, like, maybe it was, like, tears that she had been holding back and then it comes out. But he compares it to rainfall and starlight. Then he says, my thirsty gaze will always remember. So then he says, dead, and I pierce her body with shards of me. So I think he himself feels dead for whatever reason. And that deadness he then uses, like, it ends up piercing her body with shards of himself because of how he is when he feels that dead. And then he says, what is left? What is afterward left? And then it says, your face, talking about she's singing at that part, right?
No,
is she or is he?
No,
Your face, years wasted, blending with a poet's eye. I have only a lifetime to forget. So I think that he has done certain things that's kind of like changed her. And then he's saying that it's going to take him forever to forget like what has gone on. Then she's singing and she says, my painful sleep on earth's buried seasons. And to me that was like, she goes to sleep to kind of like, well, maybe because she has to sleep because she's tired, or maybe it's part of the way that she deals with his dead shards that are cutting her. And then she says it unearths buried seasons, so I think that probably she has dreams that come up as she's sleeping, and it reminds her of things from the past. And then it's only every morning that I cry. So when she wakes up and then she remembers all of that stuff, like she starts to cry. Then it says soft laughter seeps into my aching wounds. And I don't know what she means by that. I don't know if the soft laughter, who or what. I don't know what the soft laughter is. And I don't know if it seeps into her aching wounds as like a salve or as like lemon. I'm not really sure. But then they both say, please kiss me, kiss away the cuts you've torn.
I didn't hear the dude's voice in that part.
Well, I thought I heard him saying, please kiss me.
Okay.
And then she's singing kiss away the cuts you've torn. So I think the destruction that he's put in her life, she wants him to like kiss it away and kind of like, the knives in your eyes bleed my joy lifeless. To me, that was just, again, the way that he was and like the way that he would maybe look at her like in these because it doesn't seem like he's always like that, like, so like the knives in your eyes, like people will say like, oh, they had daggers in their eyes. So I feel like he was like looking at her in a certain way that was like sending knives, and then when he does that, it bleeds her joy lifeless, which was such a crazy beautiful line. But then he says, I still
be holding my loneliness.
And wish that I could die in your false embrace. So it seems like even when he's, I don't know, like maybe when he's in that, where he's like being that way and then pulling away and stuff, like he has like, even in his loneliness, like he still wishes that he could be close to her, but he says false embrace. So I don't know what he means by false embrace. I don't know if he doesn't trust her or I'm not sure. I don't know why he says false embrace. I mean, he says here, liar, I will never trust again. So I don't know if she did something or if he just assumes that she did something. I don't know. And then he says, holding you forever in a moment of the past. This song was sad to me. So I think that he maybe remembers something of her from the past where maybe things were good before whatever happened. I don't know what my Helen of Troy, please, the war makes me tired. I just assumed, again, like maybe it's a battle he holds within himself and it makes him tired and he's asking her, like, I don't know what Helen of Troy is. That's some historic that I don't remember.
You remember we watched the movie with Achilles?
Uh-huh.
Forgot the name of that movie. What was it? With Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember what the name of it was.
Anyway, you remember the beginning of the story where Paris slept with this girl and then Agamemnon showed up and said, I gotta fight you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight to the death. And then Hector wouldn't let it happen because his brother was... That was Helen of Troy, that Hector's brother Paris had... he snatched her up and did whatever. So... And it started...
he's calling her Helen of Troy.
It started the Trojan War.
Okay.
That's the whole thingamajig. And Keeley's jumped on in the whole 9 yards.
So then that is what he's calling her, my Helen of Troy.
Yeah, sort of. She's, I think Helen of Troy represents like forbidden love or forbidden lust, however you want to look at it. Because Paris, it didn't look like Paris really, at least in the, yeah, so
I'll have to see that one again.
Yeah, she's the emblem of, actually the name of the movie was Troy.
Oh, that's right, it was. Then he just says Belial, which is another way of saying Satan, right?
Yeah, Belial is one of the prince of demons.
And then he says Rosier, I don't know what that means.
Rosier is another demon.
Wonderful. Then he says pain, liar, I will never trust again. So I think that he like flips in his view of her. And so I think he's saying that stuff to her. I think he goes from calling her my Helen of Troy. So in some moments he wants to hold her in like that. But then...
Well, I don't think these are mutually exclusive because Helen of Troy cheated on Agamemnon with Paris. So, it depends. He might be Agamemnon in this story or he might be the Paris in this story. But it's interesting when he says shivering by the hedgerow. That kind of picture...
That sounds like... Okay, so if you were going to cheat like outside, like you would go by the hedges to kind of like hide it. And so,
Really?
Well, yeah, I mean, that would give you some coverage. So if you went, so I don't know.
Why would you go outside? Wouldn't you go to
No, like let's say you were, I don't know. Like let's say that you were outside. I mean, there was hedgerow. So if there's hedges and you're like out there, trust lies shivering by the hedgerow. I don't know. Maybe they were cheating outside by the hedges. And they're shivering because.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it tells her side. Let's say that did happen. But it almost seems like he's like killing her poetically here. Her eyes get black and all that, which, you know what I mean? Like it looks like she's dying here. He's gonna kill her metaphorically at least, which then makes sense. Kiss me, kiss away the cuts you've torn. Yada yada yada. The knives in your eyes bled my joy lifeless.
Wow.
So it's like.
But she's saying that part.
Right. Well, that's
because he has knives because he's upset that she cheated.
Well, it's a chicken or the egg thing. Did she cheat because she might have cheated because, she wasn't getting what she needed from him emotionally or whatever, which is most of the reasons why women do things like that. Men are generally more physical. I know there are exceptions and things of that nature. I'm just talking about in general, dear listener. Yeah, so it might be that he just wasn't giving, it's basically like this is her side of the story, basically. She's crying every morning, she goes to sleep,
what do you think she says
about it.
Yeah, dreams about what?
Whatever, buried seasons, so I'm assuming like the season in the relationship where things are going great.
Oh, gosh.
And she wants to go back to that, and then she wakes up crying every morning because that's not the case.
What do you think about soft laughter seeps into my aching wounds?
Well, I just think that's...
Or do you think as she's waking up, she hears the laughter from the seasons gone by, and then it seeps into her aching wounds as she's waking?
Very possible. Or it could be, that sort of sardonic, like, is this a joke? Is all of life a joke? People go, are you serious? Can this... So, like, it's reality hitting her that they're not in that season. Which, of course, I think one of the biggest tips I could ever give somebody, relationally speaking, is that if you're in a serious relationship, it is going to go in seasons. Mm-hmm. Like... that's one of the major reasons that a lot of relationships fail is because it's a failure to recognize, like, okay, you're in a different season in the relationship now. Like, most relationships are 4 seasons. Like spring is when it's like, and life everywhere and a lot of goodness is happening. And summer's cool too, but it's not spring, but it's still cool. And then when you go to autumn, things are starting to cool down. Then there's a winter season. But if you have a winter season, it's going to cycle back. But a lot of people don't wait for that cycle to come back. And, sometimes you should. The guys beat the hell out of you. You should get out of Dodge. If the woman is beating the hell out of you, you should get out of Dodge. Because that happens as well. Mm-hmm.
I think that, like, I was talking to a woman the other day. She's like, if I ever get divorced or something happens... slap me if I decide to remarry. And I was like, well, relationships come in seasons, and there are difficult seasons in every marriage, but it's kind of like a weird way to look at it, but like it's kind of like if you had to take a vacation from each other and then you come back. So it is kind of healthy in a sense, but I mean it's not fun, but man, her voice, whoo.
We just got done listening to Pink Floyd, so
Yep.
you know. But man, there is some good atmospheric music here too.
I wish. Oh, sorry. I'm
to
sorry.
me, this was like the first verse was like slow, grinding, doomish type of metal. Then it went completely in a direction
that surprised me as well.
I
yeah.
was not anticipating, but very, very pleasantly surprised
Yeah.
about. What were you gonna say?
When he said "dead" and I pierce her body with shards of me, I was wishing there was some kind of floor type voice that's so powerful and just high, like almost screaming it singingly in the back. Dead, I pierce her body with shards of me, like almost with a painful sound, like that's happening to her. But if there's a song, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like in my head, that's what I was hearing. I was like, oh.
This guy's.
And then there was female vocals that came in, so I was like, okay, that's
I was also
good.
surprised about that because
Yep.
I'm looking at the band and there are no girls in this band, so this must have been a guest singer. But God Almighty, again, this is like an extremely unique. This was released in 2001.
Oh wow.
Just an
And
extremely
they have
unique
barely no
group.
views.
I know these people are unbelievable. They're really, really good. Maudlin of the Well.
Like their official has 1.3 thousand views.
God
Well-
Almighty.
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys should have trillions of views. They should be getting views bigly.
What's the name of this song? That is such a weird name.
The curve
The
that to an
garden
angle
song
turn.
makes sense because it's hedgerow. The curve.
That to an angle turn. Maybe it's a way of talking about crossing a line that you can never go back.
Yeah, because there's like a curve, like you took a curve, but then it becomes an angle.
90-degree angle. Yeah. And it's you can't come back from that.
Yeah.
You know. Because curves are kind of subjective, and then the angle is very objective. Yeah, it's pretty. And then he ends it with saying, "Belial, Rosier, Payne, liar, I'll never trust again." Whew.
It was very poetic though. And I got emotional.
The entire thing, like lyrically, this is some of the strongest lyrics I've seen to communicate.
Dead
that-
and I pierce her body with shards of me. Woo.
Just it's the story of men and women, man. Like that's why Solomon talked about being fascinated by the way of a man with a maiden. Like you have to recognize what season you're in the relationship, and then you react accordingly. So like if it appears that she was like in the winter season of the relationship, and it looks like to me in a moment of weakness she went off and did something with another dude or whatnot. And I think this is the biggest thing is like the song is kind of like chiasmically structured, and it starts and ends with trust. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that a person can recover from in a relationship, but broken trust is not one of them.
Well, it's a very difficult thing because then after trust is broken, then you question everything.
Yeah, I just think for me, like being able to trust somebody is a moment in a relationship that it's one of those things you can never get back or improve upon. So, for example, if I say, "Yeah, last year was a good year, but it wasn't perfect, and we can improve on it and have our best years ahead of us." Right? Mm-hmm. So you can do that, and I believe that. But with trust, you can't say, "Oh yeah, trust was broken," but like that's not something you can improve upon because the action has already happened. It's like, once you're pregnant, you're pregnant. So to me, it's like if you violate trust to a certain degree, you can build back trust over time.
Yeah.
But the kind of trust that you had at the beginning,
it's never the same.
It's never the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And obviously, like that. That's a very, very tragic aspect of relationships, but it's also true, Mm-hmm. And I think, like the loss of that moment in your relationship is really, really difficult. And it's not something you can come back from per se. But there are people that are like, okay, we're just going to have a different brand of trust, and then we're going to have to communicate more. And God bless them. I think that's awesome. Inshallah, that's the tack I would take, But, I mean, you can't know until you're in that situation. But they had a pretty volatile relationship, that's for sure.
You're like generally a very logical person, but I feel like since we got married, you connect more like emotionally and stuff, and you're less logical than you were before. So I feel like you'd have a hard time saying, well, let's just take it to another brand of, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a negative thing.
No, I don't think so
going
either.
emotionally with it.
I just think that, you know, yeah. Yeah.
I think eventually you'd probably have to say something like that just to make it survive. But I don't know how I would be.
I've got a pretty good idea.
I don't have a good feeling about that.
Yeah, the volatility of the relationship though is pretty crazy here, and he, you know, but gosh, he's poetic as hell.
Oh my gosh.
I still hold in my loneliness, you know.
Yes.
Like you're, yeah, that's but that's the other side of a relationship, right? It's like okay, you don't have that brand of trust anymore, but are you really willing to sacrifice the holding someone in your loneliness? But then on the other side, you say, yeah, but I mean, that's a perfect way to get yourself taken advantage of and possibly abused. You know, if you're just staying with somebody because you're afraid of being alone. Well,
when he said it, I didn't take it as just he doesn't want to be alone, but to me, it sounded like even after everything, like there was like this romantic sort of, like it's not like he's lonely and he could hold anybody, but he holds thee, and like the whole song wasn't like these and thous and stuff, and so that kind of brought like a little like it was like her, like she's the one that he wants, even in his loneliness. And I see your angle where, you know, she possibly did something to sabotage that or wreck that relationship, but I think that he still loves her. And wish that I could die in your false embrace. Yeah, because he probably feels like he can't live in the idea of her doing that and trust being lost, but he'd rather just die in her arms, even though her arms are false because it's not because she...
Right, I think what he's saying is the entire thing was a farce because she cheated on him or whatever.
That's not true, though.
Oh, I know that.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I don't think it's true, too. I mean...
I would feel like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's true. I think if I could sit logically and, you know, talk to myself about it, I think that I could know that that wasn't true, but I think that it would be hard to be logical in such an emotional situation.
Right. But a lot of people think like that. They think that because of something like that happening, that negates everything. You've been lying to me the whole time, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
you know?
I remember I said that, like, about my ex with you. I was like, everything was a lie. You were like, everything was not a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, why are you defending him?
Oh, Lordy. White people. Yeah. But I definitely...
So do you think he's calling her Belial or what?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he's calling her that. I mean, you know, like, and, you know, I mean, understandable if that's what happened, you know, but at the same time, it's like, you got to understand what precipitated certain situations from happening, and obviously, you know, it's something that's very, very difficult to do. You know, with my ex, you know, it took me years, but like, just sitting back and thinking about her, and I go, okay, you know, and that's one of the things where it's like, you don't really understand what's going on when you're in it, but when you get out of it and then you can look back with a new set of eyeglasses, you go, okay, like, and then I've moved away from like being angry at her, upset at her, yada yada yada, to just plain trying to understand what happened in her mind or whatnot, and that's been very helpful for me because, you know, it lets you dispense with the bitterness and things like that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Amazing song. Another song I'm going to listen to. I'm not going to lie though. I'm going to fast forward the first verse.
Why?
I just love that that middle part with the girl and all the rest of it. The death vocals. I get it. It's kind of avant-garde, but man, that middle was pretty crazy. I think I'm a jazz blues person, actually. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think because this is another one, jazzy, bluesy. Like,
I know, I definitely am.
I felt like I was at, you know, one of those clubs, everybody smoking, 1950s, with a little hairdo. You know how they did that, and then they had the red lipstick. Like,
it's a long cigarette thing.
Yeah. 100%.
Yep.
100%. Yeah. Brilliant song. I love it.
I know it's weird, but their bras were very weird. They were like cones.
Yeah.
Those are always a little bit
Strange stuff. Strange stuff.
Oh, I could tell you guys some stories. Anyway.
Yeah. I would love to like come up with the concept and direct a music video for this song because it's like that.
Yeah.
Really, really good song. What do you give it?
It's a 10 for me. I really, really loved it.
Yeah. It's a 9.8 for me. Like I said, death vocals, it was kind of grinding doom metal stuff.
He was so
But and what he did
after all of that, you know what I mean? Like, so I felt like the vocal style was perfect for that.
Right. It fit conceptually, just sonically it didn't work as well for me compared to the other
types of
sound in this one song. And I still beholding my loneliness, like he was whispering that. Like we wouldn't have heard it if we didn't have the lyrics up top. Because it was kind of indecipherable without the lyrics.
Yeah.
But he did it was kind of like, what's that, Pain of Salvation-ish, a little bit, like that type of whisper and sound and desperate whisper type of thing.
Definitely.
Really good song.
Love the sound of desperation.
9.9.
Not from my own heart, though.
9.9.
10 for me.
Good song. Good. Who suggested this song?
Jacob.
The big homie Jacob. Thank you, sir. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.